Essentially, for this grid that they're bringing down on you, and it is a slave management grid, they want everybody first to be 100% identifiable biometrically, so that they can say you made that transaction, that is a taxable event, real-time taxation can be applied, all forms of extraction can be applied. You can be blamed for your carbon footprint, your social score, you said something horrible on Twitter. So eventually Twitter, all these social medias, everything, you'll be biometrically tagged and pinned for being that. So, you say something unfriendly to, Joe Biden or something like that, you could get black points for being, a subversive of some form.
Renowned technical analyst and originator of the Hunt Volatility Funnel, Francis Hunt has warned that the infamous Great Reset is now fully in motion, and hardly anybody is really cautious of what's coming. According to Hunt, who is popularly known as the market sniper, there are rapidly unfolding plans by the world's elites to place the rest of us under a slave management grid, where the infamous phrase, "you'll own nothing and be happy," easily comes into fruition. Hunt describes a horrific future where you need biometric scanners to access all services, including healthcare, and the government is free to tax you to oblivion on all activities and possessions, which he says will be only temporary since only the elites will own everything while the rest of us rent from them. Hunt believes the blockchain, the underlying technology that supports cryptocurrencies and other digital assets, will be one of the main tools that will be used by the elites to subjugate us all. He gives an example of OpenAI founder Sam Altman's Worldcoin, which has just been banned in Kenya for being invasive, dystopian, and exploitative. According to the creators, Worldcoin is an AI meets crypto project that uses orbs to scan people's eyes in exchange for a digital ID and a possible promise of some cryptocurrencies. This is where things get really interesting. Worldcoin is supposed to provide a new solution to online identity and limit the activities and abilities of bots and AI imposters. The creators point out that earlier this year, OpenAI's GPT-4 was able to convince a human to solve a CAPTCHA on its behalf. There's a clear pattern here. First, they create the problem, the AI bots that can hardly be differentiated from humans. Then, they create a solution. Only, the solution involves getting everyone's eyes scanned in exchange for a digital ID, an idea that the highly controversial World Economic Forum has floated for years. It's really not difficult to see a pattern here, and Hunt warns about this and more in a recent interview with Commodity Culture. As we bring you clips from the discussion, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Also, ensure you drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm so we can bring you these videos. Thanks, and enjoy.
So it's going to be carrot and stick is my understanding. Initially, they start with carrot to get the early herd, the people that will always take free money, the people that tend to take welfare, the people that will loot stores given the chance if they're told they're not going to be arrested. And those kind, unfortunately, it's a lower end, but they are a large part of the population. I mean, it's happening on Worldcoin right now. They want to know, they want to clearly identify you. So they offer you this conjured up coin where you'll get some tokens, which will have some value, and they'll first do a coin go up where they control it and bid it up. They might only have released some of it, and they'll throw a whole bunch of money at it, and they'll be part of the bid that consistently buys it up. So everybody goes, free money, and it's going up, and I'm going to get rich. So, greed factor will drive everybody into Worldcoin, and they'll be lining up to have the orb scan their iris. And you'll start to have lots of people, and they say, because you've done this, it's going to be much quicker and safer and easier for you to buy at the stores where there's shoplifters for 2,000. They'll lock up the stores because, there's people that's doing shoplifting, and you'll have to have an iris scan to go in. So they allow the crime. That creates the need to prevent the crime. That will probably have stores look more like banks with greater security, only they won't have employees there. You'll have to one by one come in, and you'll get iris scanned. And so suddenly access to facilities in the name of protecting you from stealing criminals, etc. now becomes, sorry, it's got to be biometric. We need your iris scan. We need to know it's John Jackson that's just come in, and he's been allowed in the store. Anything that happens, that'll be charged to your wallet. If you stole anything, we have barcodes on all the products. So, literally you can go in, pack your bag, and they can charge you remotely out of your wallet, or they can stop you from leaving if you've taken too many items when you have insufficient funds or tokens. So my opinion is that will enforce people that use traditional supply chains, eventually health services, all of these things. They'll say, well, we get all your medical records. We first need to know it's you so that we can have access to that private data. So it's all going to be, you're going to be bullied into, in essence, moving into the blockchain with who you are, what you are, all your information. Essentially, any form of privacy will be, they'll say only certain government departments will have access to only certain aspects of your profile, and you'll have to have an approval. But at the very top, they will have everything about you transnationally. That's the big thing that Fink loves, is saying, well, no longer are you bound by nation boundaries. It's transnational. Well, what transnational does is it leads you into world governance. Because they'll then say, well, we need rules that are extend for all nation states, because technically anyone can own Bitcoin and send Bitcoin to somebody else. That leads to a globalized tax system, and then eventually, as I say, real-time taxation and extraction, etc. I mean, we're already seeing examples on the smart grid where people have automatically being switched to higher costs ratings on the energy in the smart grid, because they consider the usage at that particular time of day is inconvenient, and it's automatically done. So they are extracting you out of services, and the end-term goal is a stated goal. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Happy probably comes from the happy pills they'll be stuffing you with, and you'll end up being rentier of everything, because the subscription model is the way of the stock market. You used to buy Microsoft Word, you used to buy Microsoft Excel. Everything is now cloud and rent. Well, cloud just means a big server in either Microsoft or Amazon's server farm. And in essence, you don't own those products anymore. You now pay for them to utilize them annually. So the whole concept of turning into subscription models, everything is the game. So there's car manufacturers that will have wallets that will supply fully fitted cars, and you'll only buy the base car level, and then you'll rentier the aircon, you'll rentier the radio. That way they only have to make one version, they make it fully spec'd. You either buy it outright at the full price. If you can't afford it, you buy the lower model, and those other bits are left in the rent. And if you utilize them, you have to have an associated wallet. These are the mechanisms that they will extract subscription revenue out of people.
Speaking further, Hunt discusses the work of a principal researcher at Microsoft Research and a University of Chicago professor. Glenn Weil and Eric Posner say they want to address problems such as economic stagnation, inequality, corporate abuse, and others by abolishing private property. Weil's proposition in their book, Radical Markets, is to transform society into a continual auctioning process. People set an ideal price for each of their possessions, from houses to cars and even clothes, and sell them to those who bid for them. Anyone that fails to set an ideal price for their possessions by setting a very high price to discourage bidders would pay a hefty tax on them, as would everyone in this proposed future. So instead of building your wealth to pass them to your children or other dependents, you would be forced to sell everything you own or pay huge taxes on them. According to Hunt, these unthinkable ideas are being subtly and gradually introduced through different channels to get people accustomed to them. That's why the technical analyst advocates owning dark assets like gold and silver. He calls them dark assets because they are the only things that can help you stay under the radar.
It's pretty totalitarian and it's pretty grim, and I fear that we're going to have to participate to a certain degree to it. But I would also say you want to make sure you maintain dark assets, what I would call dark assets. It will be very innocently put to you, do you own any precious metals? And it's just for records purposes. There's nothing else. They've got to send the man with the clipboard first. They want to information collect. And at that point in time, I'm going to suggest you to think very hard and to have multiple locations, and potentially to keep it within your own interest. That disclosing everything to government is the first step before taxation, capital gains, when these things are deemed to have moved. That turns you into a forced seller on them. That turns them into, you've got to put an NFT next to them, and then makes them a buyer of your metals because they understated it, and they can do forced purchases all on the blockchain while you're sleeping, and just notify you in retrospect. Unfortunately, this is all about power. It's not about money anymore. The money is already well beyond any form of normal man's comprehension that they have. This is utter control. They not only do They want to win. They want to win and see you lose. They need you to own nothing. They want every single ounce of gold and silver and property to be controlled by their proxies. And the derivatives, the forms of derivatives and the rug pulls are actually historic. The mercantilist caravans used to say, come to the temple, and the temples were the great buildings and would have safe havens, and leave your gold here, and they used to give out clay tablets. And then the mercantilist traveler people would disappear with your gold, and you would be left with a clay tablet. So the breach of trust and the establishment of proxies or derivatives. This clay tablet is your representative that we hold X ounces of your gold. This is the same old tricks, just with a technological twist and a new generation of fools. And you've got to realize, if you understand your history, these traveling mercantilist banker types are the strippers of wealth, and they are parasitic by nature, and they are hungry for power, and they want every ounce of blood in your body. It's very hard to fight against a machine this big. This is Terminator, the movie we're talking about. You need self-reliance. You need to be quasi-rural, semi-rural to full rural. You don't want to be deep suburban or definitely not high-rise urban. And you need to produce as much as possible of your own, and you need neighbors that are producing the rest that you can swap and trade. In other words, you have to go back to grassroots and community. You need to know your butcher, your baker, and your candlestick maker, your neighbors, the local policemen, who you need to flip in your police to be local community orientated rather than deep proxy of state, so that they warn you when things are coming in. And they don't just follow orders of an immoral, and don't forget, they'll write the laws that will establish everything they do as being essentially legal. You're going to see a massive divergence between legality and morality. And these people can write laws. You've already seen it, compulsory. I've actually got a narrative of somebody in Norway that was awakened by a community member of mine who was actually put in a mental asylum for his Facebook posts around his questioning of the events of March 2020 and the cure, jibby jabby. So, that is legal. That was entirely legal. Is it moral? It's absolutely draconian and totalitarian to take someone like that away for incessantly posting about the ill effects that are likely. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. So you need to get away from government. You need to be as far rural and self-reliant, and where enforcement is big areas with low concentration of police. And you must be obviously able to protect yourself from lynch mobs and people who haven't taken the time or the care to prepare properly for this. And I think rural areas are generally better, although there is a war against farmers, and there is an agenda to drive everybody into pod mega cities. So that's when you start asking questions about what weaponry was used potentially in the California fires or anything else, because I do think they're going to try clear the rural, the big open areas between the urban societies. So, you're going to face challenges in everything you do, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't take them, and we must play this hand. It's the hand we've been given, and we've got to play it all the way out by taking action, by preparing, getting organized. Real mental force comes to you. Don't be paralyzed deer in the headlights. It is, you were born in these times because you were meant to have this experience, and that you are capable. So brace yourself, be a leader, take action, advise, give good counsel, and get prepared.
Over the past few years, many of the things that were previously touted as conspiracy theories have been proven to be quite true. Hunt believes we would get more so-called conspiracy theories turning out to be nothing but factual statements. If you prepare, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain when shit hits the fan. And if nothing happens, you still get to keep your precious metals and safe community, knowing you are fully prepared for anything and everything. Those who fail to prepare, however, will only have themselves to blame. What are your thoughts on Hunt's gloomy predictions? Please share them in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos. Thanks for watching.